Have you ever wondered what you can do to help motivate your child to read or to read more? Maybe your child is struggling reading or they're struggling getting in the habit of practicing reading. If that's the case, this video is for you, so stick around. Hi, I'm Rebecca with the Parent Teacher Bridge. Here you can find the ideas and resources you need to empower you to be your child's most influential teacher. That's right. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a learning expert, you have the biggest influence on your child's life in motivating them and finding resources to fill their gaps and encourage them to reach their goals. So today we're talking about what you can do to motivate your child to read more. But before we get started, click like and subscribe so you can be notified each time I upload a new video for your child's learning. Now, often struggling readers are the ones that don't really want to read, and I can't say that I blame them. I don't like doing things that are particularly challenging for me either, but that may not be the only reason your child doesn't want to read. Sometimes children just haven't found a genre of book that interests them. Sometimes there's not a safe, protected time for children to read, and they have so many distractions around them. There can be several different reasons. Let's talk about what you can do to change that. Number one, the first thing that you can do in helping your child read more or have more interest in reading is to share interesting books with them. What do I mean by that? It sounds a little bit vague, right? Well, think about some attributes of books that would draw children in. Maybe they have particularly detailed illustrations. Maybe they have humor. Maybe they have some rhyme to them. Or maybe they include a particular interest that your child has. Now, one of the places we get interesting reads is the library, our local library, because these are books that aren't always at home with us. They are novel. They are interesting. And when I say share, I mean make those books available. You might have to have a book basket, or you might have to start the day laying the books out face up so that they see the front of the book, something that can interest them, because, children are going to judge a book by its cover. Let's just call it like it is. Maybe your child isn't quite ready for chapter books, but you would like to transition them into reading longer books. In that case, you might want to look into something called graphic novels. These are books kind of along the lines of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. If you don't like that one in particular, you can find many more. Just do a search for graphic novels. They're written sort of in a comic book format, but they are a thicker book, like a chapter book. It's just the words are broken up, and your child should be able to read it much quicker than a normal chapter book. You don't have to stay with graphic novels all the time. I've definitely known some students who that is the only thing they will read. So it just can be a helpful tool to transition your child into reading longer things or to just read in general. So with my child, I do let him get graphic novels from the library from time to time, but I also have other chapter books for him to read as well. And sometimes sharing interesting books means that you are actually reading the book to your child. Maybe you read the first chapter, then you start backing off and you read a few pages, they read a few pages. If you would like to see a video on how to buddy read with your child, I'll leave a link for that also. Go over to my channel page and watch how to buddy read with your child, and you'll get some useful ideas there. Hi parents, is your child struggling to read or even hates to read? Nothing you have tried has worked? Get my free guide, 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader. I'm going to show you the simple tricks that I've used for years to successfully improve children's reading and their confidence in reading. It's easy, it's simple, and it's free. Just go to theparentteacherbridge.com/reading help. You can find that link in the description below. Number 2, set a time and place for reading. Do you ever just intend to do something that you know is good and you know is right, but all you ever do is just keep intending, you never get around to it? Sometimes, sadly, that is the case with listening to our children read. And if you have a struggling reader or a beginning reader, you need to listen to them read the book aloud. That lets you know if they're getting the words right. That lets you know if they're really understanding. and what their fluency or smoothness of reading is like. So, when you set a time and a place for reading, you might want to think about what time of day, where you want your child to sit, how long you're going to do this. And it might differ on different days. You might not be able to sit and listen to your child read for 20 minutes every single day. If you are going to work all day, if you have multiple children to have to work on homework with, and so on, that may not end up being the case. And it may be the case that one child gets a little bit more attention than the others for a limited time, and you can switch back and forth. So with my children, I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. I'm going to listen to them read aloud a lot more than my 11-year-old. He's had that time in his life where I've listened to him read. And occasionally we might still read together and do some buddy reading where I read, he listens to it, and then I listen to him read also. But it's perfectly okay for a struggling reader to get a little bit more attention than the others. And don't stop on the weekends either. Do you stop reading things just because it's the weekend? Like you won't read a recipe, you won't read the news, you won't read your social media? Of course not. You're still reading on the weekends, so why don't you have time for your child to do that as well? I see repeatedly missed opportunities that parents have with their own children because they think, well, my child has had it rough enough in school for the entire week. I don't want to make them read over the weekend. Well, you know what? Sometimes children need to be made to sit still without distractions in the way so that they can give a chance for love of reading to occur. Number 3, try reading shorter and easier leveled books. Maybe the reason why your child doesn't want to read, maybe they struggle with the words. Maybe they don't struggle with the words. Maybe they struggle with the fact that the book that you've given them has insanely long chapters. Your child might be able to decode words and read them perfectly. They might even have great comprehension. But if they are not used to reading something with long chapters, they might lack something called reading stamina. And in that case, you have to grow that and build that. So back up, giving them something shorter and easier to read. And you can always build on and gradually make it more difficult. Now, if you're wondering about whether the book your child is reading is too easy or too difficult, be sure to check out my video on Just Right Books or Good Fit Books. It has a little simple test you can give with your child to see if that book is a good fit for them to read independently. So be sure you check that out. And lastly, number 4 is to offer rewards and praise. Getting your child to sit down and read and even be okay or excited about it is a behavior that you are trying to change. So with that, you might want to consider positive reinforcement. And that just means you're catching your child doing the right thing and you are rewarding them. That might be something like giving them stickers or you could pay the money for all I care. But if you get enough stickers, you can redeem it for a reward. Now, I'm going to say I've not even had to go that far with my own children. Just offering verbal praise and telling them how proud I am of them has been enough. You're already setting aside a protected time for your child to read. You're already giving them interesting things to read. So along with that, when you catch them being good, when they have fulfilled their time to sit there and read without complaining, then reward them, give them praise. Or if your child needs something a little bit more, give them some other sort of reward that they can redeem later. Now, something I tried with my child as he was getting into reading chapter books, and I would start by reading them to him, then transitioning to buddy reading, and eventually he would read them on his own. I would specifically choose chapter books that had movies based on them. Now, if you're going to do this, be sure you look at the movie first so you can be certain that it's something you're okay with your child watching as far as the ratings and things like that. And I would even recommend if you haven't seen the movie, watch it before your child. But I love doing this as a culminating activity. It's like a family movie night. You've done the hard work, you've read the book, now we're going to watch the movie on it, make some popcorn, some root beer floats, and make a night of it. And you know what gradually happens anyway? my child starts to compare, oh, that's the way it happened in the book. That's not the way it happened in the movie. And so they're basically doing compare contrast on their own. Other times we've entered some book fairs where he gets to decorate a trifold or maybe a foldable with paper, where he talks about the elements in the story, the characters in the setting, and so on. So that may be something you want to try if you're a homeschooler who's watching this video. Well, those are my ideas for practical things you can do at home to motivate your child to read more. Do you have extra ideas? Leave a comment down below. I'm sure my viewers would love to see that, and I would like to as well. Don't forget my free guide, 5 quick tips to immediately help your struggling reader. You'll find a link in the description below. You can find the Parent Teacher Bridge on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you are your child's most influential teacher.